Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds in May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed. And every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose complexion of that fair thou owest. Nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal line to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe, or eye can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. I brought it back to that. Hello, my name is Mahari Masulu, and you are watching Who Be an Actor. Thank you for joining me. I'm in love with language. I love words. I love silence too, but I do love well-crafted, sort of well put together words, because they create an image, and I'm an actor, so imagery really matters, and meaning and layers and stuff. And we are on a quest at the moment to understand what we're saying, to understand why we're saying it, in order for us to be able to play it well, to live it well. This poem came to me because I know it differently, which is what happens often with a piece of work or with writing. And something I kind of want to hint at. When you sort of know something and you translate it in your head so you understand it, and then you start doing an approximation of a thing rather than the thing. So when you learn your lines to understand them, but rather than advancing further beyond your understanding, like absorbing the lines, saying the text that you've been given, you start to do an approximation. That's not a good look. A script is written for a reason, and if the writer's written it and the director's approved it and everything, you need to know your lines. But you also need to say the lines, translate them for understanding for yourself, whether it's modern text or it's from the 1600s or from the twos. You know, we're beginning to discover more and more literature from different cultures, so who knows, we'll be doing plays and films from 10,000 years ago and stuff. Now, how I remember this from when I said it for meaning when I was about 12, 14. Shall I compare thee to the summer's day? Thou art as sweet. the leaves, rough winds do shake the darling buds of May. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's me understanding it in my younger mind, because that's what he's saying. You're as sweet as a summer's day, but actually you're lovelier than a summer's day. Now, in order for you to understand what he's saying here, you have to understand an English summer's day. It can be almost 14-hour, about almost 16-hour long day, full of sunshine and sunlight and heat and warmth and going to the park and sweating, ice cream and all the things. Or it can be a 12-hour day, just like any other day, and like other parts of the world, and it can be interrupted by rain, hail, the occasional bout of snow, rough winds. You just never know. And even when it's hot, it can be so hot that you just don't want to leave your house. So when he says here, Mr. Shakespeare, in sonnet number 18, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? He's using something beautiful and delightful and saying, you are beautiful and delightful and to be treasured and longed for. And a summer's day is beautiful and delightful and to be treasured and longed for. Shall I compare the two of those things? You are much lovelier. And temperate means reliable in weather. Like, I can rely on your mood. You don't shift because of, something happening. You're always the same, reliable. I can trust you to react in a specific way at a specific time. Can't do that with an English summer. You can't. And then he goes on to say, summer's lease has all too short a date. Summer's too short, and sometimes it's too hot, and sometimes it's cold and dark and dreary in the same day, and it just goes from pretty and nice to, well, it should have been pretty and nice to, oh, it's pretty and nice again. And if you are learning that for meaning, you say things like that. You just jump from one thing to the other, constantly comparing it to what you know, comparing it to understanding, and then absorbing that knowledge so that you're saying it for meaning, whatever text you're looking at. And I want to say this, I'm looking at these texts because I love the flow of language and syntax and imagery. You can do this exact same exercise with any piece of text that you have, which is where you come in. Like, if you feel like I'm looking too much at old text, please, please, please send me something to study, to learn, to explore, to understand. I would love that. I'd love more engagement between us. I want to end this week by looking at the final part of this. He says, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. Right, and then that finishes that sort of comparison, and he goes and starts talking about you again. He says, but thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest. You'll always be pretty. You'll always be beautiful. You'll always be something I long for and hope for and enjoy. Nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade. You won't die. Not to me. When in eternal lines to time thou growest. When you step from this timeline into eternity, you won't disappear. And here's why. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this poem, and this gives life to thee. You will be remembered because I have pressed pen to ink to paper and immortalized you. Isn't that beautiful? Now, again, I'm going to send out a call. Send me something to study so that we can look at it together. I am starting a Patreon so that we can sort of have one-on-one sessions, and I can help you look at a piece of text that you're studying, whether it's for a exam or a speech that you have to give for an event, or you're just trying to understand something. Let's build a community. Let's play. Again, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Mukharima Subu, and this has been Who'd Be an Actor. May the Lord bless you, may He keep you, may He make His face to shine on you and be gracious to you. May He turn His countenance towards you and give you peace.